In part one of Garage Talk with Max McAllister, we talked about how he got into motorcycling and how he got started in the motorcycle business, which led to his suspension business. We talked about how some of the parts on the Honda Goldwing design are downright stupid, and we talked about a whole lot more. So if you haven't already seen that episode, I'll put a link to it in the upper corner of this video. Make sure you check it out. I'll also put a link in the description of the video. So now let's continue with part two of my conversation with Max McAllister, owner of Traxxion Dynamics.
Welcome to another episode of Garage Talk, the podcast for motorcycle enthusiasts with your host, Cruiseman. Today's episode is sponsored by Cruisemansgarage Honda Goldwing Maintenance Videos, a collection of more than 80 videos that show you how to maintain your own Honda Goldwing. Today's episode starts now.
So a guy will go, I went 80,000 miles and my fork seals started leaking. I changed my fork seals. Now they're leaking again in 10,000 miles.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Well, because now the fork leg is barreled out. So it's a question of wear stacking up.
It seems like this would be even more multiplied if you have a trike because of the additional weight.
It way worse than that. Okay, way worse than that for a couple of reasons. So the first one is those two halves of a fork. There's a bushing in the top of the bottom leg, the leg, and then the tube that's sliding in it. It has one on it, and there's one at where your seal is. So they're doing this. Your forks are angled, and there's a lot of weight on them. Trike owners rake their forks out to make them steer easier. So now the leverage on those two poor bushings is more pressure on the bushings. They wear out in 10,000 miles on a trike.
Wow.
But the more important factor, never mind if you had the rake kit on the trike or not, that's the factor in the damage and wear. You physically turn a trike to steer it. So you don't physically turn your motorcycle. You don't grab your handlebars and turn right to turn right. That's not how it works. The effort to turn your bike is virtually imperceptible to you. To turn even a 90-degree street corner, you don't even hardly perceive you're pushing or pulling on the handlebars. A trike, you have to go and turn the wheel. And so what you're doing is there's a factor in your motorcycle, all two-wheeled vehicles, even bicycles that you wouldn't be aware of, but it's called trail. In trail, the best way to explain it is a shopping cart wheel. The wheels of the caster, no matter where those wheels are pointed, when you start pushing the cart, they always swing around backwards and line up in the behind the cart. Those wheels have trail. That J is the trail. So the way where it pivots, that's the steering axis. That's like your steering head. But where the wheel touches the ground on the J, that is trail. It's trailing behind. That makes it self-stabilize. So you need that on your motorcycle, or it would just wobble violently all the time and throw you off. But that trail is a lever, and it's about 4 inches long. The typical trail on a motorcycle is about 4 inches. With your trike, you're trying to turn against that lever, which you don't do on a two-wheeler. So if you held your motorcycle rear wheel, locked it in place, or your trike, and took your handlebars and turned them, your tire would draw a rubber smile on the ground. That is the force that you're fighting with a trike. So when they rake them out, they're trying to make that trail get shorter and shorter and shorter so that they're fighting a smaller lever. So now you're twisting those forks in the bushings, which is just binding them, and then they're raked out. It's just the worst application. The truth is the new double wishbone suspension on a 2018 for as far as a two-wheeler is concerned is the first structurally rigid Goldwing ever built. It's got the right landing gears. It's got beef on it. The metal parts don't twist and flex like your 2001 to 17 did. We sell triple clamps and a fork brace and all kinds of things to try and get that to not be such a wiggly noodle. The new bike is not that way. But if you're going to build a trike, it is light years superior because it does not a telescopic fork. It does not have two reciprocating parts that slide inside of each other.
So the newer Goldwing's actually a better platform for a trike than the old.
Than anything ever built. It's
Okay.
the best platform for a trike. Everything else still has a telescopic fork. So,
right.
And while generations of trikes have been built from multiple companies, they've all had a telescopic fork. And this is a for trike riders, it would be a significant upgrade.
Okay. Well, we have to talk about the engine guard because this last video you did.
This plate is such a piece of junk that I'm not even going to mount it. I'm just going to destroy it with my bare hands right in front of you to show you how stupid it is. These are the people this is a 100% counterfeit copy of the wing stuff plate. This is the bracket that holds it to the motorcycle. I'm just going to break that off and throw that away. Then the whole plate, I'll just take that and do this and break that in half for you.
I probably need a guy who knows how to edit. I'm the opposite of you. You have these beautiful, professionally produced and edited videos that are just out of this world. I mean, even your lighting is good. I mean, you got it nailed. And I just pull out a cell phone and go for it.
But you just got to spend a few $1,000s. That's all.
You're
takes money.
It looks so legit. Well, so the engine case guard / belly pan thing, I really wanted to brand mine differently from the very get-go. I was very familiar with the belly pan on the 2001 to 17 bikes. I don't feel like that engine had the same Achilles heel that the new one does with the shift boss that can break off pretty easily.
Right.
But what it did have was the coolant reservoir would get dinged up by rocks and debris over time, and it would leak out and make a big mess. And so just an aluminum pan helped that, and that was sufficient. But no aluminum pan was going to address protecting this new engine from a potential catastrophic event. And so my intent was I was never going to make one of those. About the time I finally decided to get serious on mine and get mine coming, a guy, I believe it started with a guy on the Goldwing Riders forum. He kind of homebrewed one, and then I think Wing Stuff picked up on it, and they teamed up. And Wing Stuff, I don't know, this is all speculation, but this guy, what he made looked a lot like the homemade scissor and papers version of what Wing Stuff took and made into a more professional product, right? But still, it was a belly pan in my mind. I didn't feel like it was going to do what I was going to make a product to do, which is save the engine from an extreme impact. Time moved along, and we started seeing copycats. Mine was knocked off by counterfeiters, sold on eBay, and I was able to. Now, I patented mine, and it actually is patented at this point. And right. I also had copyright stuff. So the counterfeiters actually just even used my photos of me in my shop. They just don't put my face, but they have me in my shop with my tools on my lift on the Warhorse, putting an engine case guard on their ads on eBay. So we're able to get them removed for copyright infringements. And but I see that the Wing Stuff plate has been knocked off really badly. I mean, when I say badly, meaning in two ways. One, they pretty much directly copied it, and they're just bad to me. I hate that for Wing Stuff. But secondly, using inferior materials. So not only is it bad that they copied them, it's bad because they made it, cheap with bad things and sell it as something viable. When I did this test, first of all, it's very difficult. I'm a contestant. My product's a contestant. So I really wanted to start from the very beginning by outlining. I did 3 parts. One is, here's where they all are. Here's what they're all made of, a spec kind of thing. Yeah. Here's what they cost. Because you get misillusions where just the way a $27,000 Goldwing became $30,000, my $279 plate was $300. But it wasn't. It's $279. Right. It's never been anything but $279. So I wanted to be fair, so I did an analysis one. Then the next one was I just put them on bikes, grabbed them and yanked on them. I banged on them and just Does it make noise? Does it move? Do you bend it? What does it look like to your eyes? What do I think this is going to do? And then the third one was I came up with a series of bash testing that started from mild and went to wild. And then I did that to be as fair as possible. I went to great lengths. I made a fixture, and I happened to have an engine case someone donated to me who had theirs broken by road debris. And so I modeled the whole bottom of a Goldwing, and I made this test. Plates that people have designed where they bend metal, by the nature of the metal that is required to do that, it's a different aluminum alloy. It's a soft alloy. That is not effective at protecting the engine. So because it needs to be bendable. So those companies, while I don't really want to help them too much, they could make their products better by making their plate from 6061 and then having metal brackets, steel brackets that bolt to it. Don't bend aluminum to bracket it. Use strong brackets and a strong plate and bolt them. Don't just try and bend it out of one piece of metal. It would actually cost less because they're using a big sheet of metal. Yeah. Imagine the wing stuff plate laid flat. You're using a giant sheet of metal. That's a waste. Those brackets, if you could have fixed them, that would save money, and it would be and use steel or something stronger. I'm sure they didn't spec that. The company they went to said, you need something that'll bend. Well, that's the wrong choice. So us beating on it with hammers and rocks and eventually a trailer ball, none of the ones that mount with straps to the frame actually even survived my medium level blow. All of them bent and caved down into the shift shaft boss with just a blow from a medium object. I didn't even hit him with anything significant. I took mine, and I just I was visibly like, I really beat the hell out of mine. To say, look, if you think I'm pulling punches here, and I tried to set up tests where I dropped things from heights so nobody could say, well, you pulled the punch on your plate and you hit ours harder or whatever. Right. And but in the end, all of the plates I could pick them up and just bend them with my hands. I could bend them over if I wanted to. And I didn't know this because I didn't have any of them. I bought them all. I've never seen one of any of the other brands. And so it was also a good chance to show people that a Chinese counterfeit may look like an American product, or could be. I say American because I'm American. I could be a German guy with a plate or an English guy with a plate, but the actual materials were so inferior. That first plate, I just took it and ripped it apart into pieces, almost like it was cardboard, with my bare hand. I never even hit it with a hammer. Just broke it apart and threw it away. That's consumers who are really out there going, well, I can get this one for $100 on eBay. Okay, but here's what you're buying, and so that was a good demonstration. By the way, I know the guys at Wing Stuff. I like them all, and they probably don't like me too much right now. But I'm gonna send them a top 5 list of things I learned from that test that will help them improve their product and make it better than the counterfeiters, so that hopefully people will feel good about buying that plate if they want to.
Has anybody lost an engine case that has your pan installed?
No, and I actually
know of?
No, and I have the opposite of dozens at this point of, thank God I bought your pan. Here's the picture, and coyote strike at 60 miles an hour. I had a guy strike it, blow all the cowling off of the front of the engine, and off the left side, right where the shift shaft boss is, but it ripped the coyote apart and didn't break the boss off. A guy in the Philippines just was surprised by a curb, hit the pan so hard he actually sheared the bolts. Wow. So people are worried about it bolting to the engine. This guy sheared a bolt, and one of the engine bolts, and they were able to remove the pan, just back the broken bolt off, stainless steel bolt. Imagine the force. And no damage to the engine, and just put new hardware in it and continued on using it. The one that I showed that was hit by a trailer hitch laying in the road, I mean, that thing is crazy. The damage it did to that plate, and no damage to the engine. Luckily, the rider and his wife didn't crash, and so it's doing its thing, doing its job. You always dread the time when you finally hear of one. But I believe after the physical test I showed the other day, if you could hit a plate on the engine so hard that you would break my half-inch billet brackets and bend that plate down into the shift shaft, boss, you will have crashed.
Yeah,
You
you're
will
not
have
going to
crashed.
you're probably not going to have other problems to worry about.
You will have crashed. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I don't think you will have crashed, and that's not going to be the problem to be at that
Right.
point.
That's not going to be the first thing you think of. You're going to have other issues to deal with.
No. People say, well, that's the odds are so low of it happening to me, but I'm like, that's the same reason you wear a helmet. You don't put a helmet on because you expect to use it.
Now, do most people, you think, buy this engine guard relatively recently after they buy a new Goldwing? Or, I mean, I know there's a lot of backlog of people that own Goldwings that have been buying it. But is this one of the first things people add, you think, to
It's funny. I have people who buy it before their motorcycle comes in.
Really?
Yeah, they tell me all the time. They're waiting on their bike to arrive, but they just want to make sure they have this. I have people that won't leave the parking lot. They have the dealership put it on before they leave the dealership. Just I guess like a helmet. I mean, I'm that way with a cell phone case. If I walk out of the store without an OtterBox on my phone, I'm going to break it in the parking lot.
Right.
I just know better, and I won't do it.
Well, the reason I'm asking that is because I didn't know if your engine guard sales are any indication of Goldwing sales right now. What I'm always trying to figure out because you can never get numbers out of Honda. So I'm always trying to figure out, what do you think the future is this year? Let's say this year, next year. What do you think?
It's curious. And if you wonder if I have to believe that Honda has their hand on the valve. They know, they didn't make this, this bike really caught people off guard. It was not at all what they thought was coming out. They thought it was going to be 2,100 cc's. It was going to have a 800-pound payload, come with a trailer hitch, and what they got was, an 80-pound lighter bike with tiny luggage that was sportier and more edgy and bordered on, dare I say, sport touring in every way. And it caught them completely off guard. They weren't expecting that. But Honda didn't take that blank sheet of paper and make that motorcycle without knowing something that maybe the rest of us don't. The average Goldwinger was getting either younger or more affluent, or their commercials were way
I think it's that the older Goldwingers are dying off.
They're edgy. We all get older eventually.
Yeah. Eventually is here.
Eventually is here. But I say that, and then just to play my own devil's advocate, I just, when I look at when they come out with the new Goldwing, I'm like, do they just walk around a rally anywhere in any country and just ask the people, what is it about your bike that you don't like? Well, it doesn't carry any weight. 423 pounds.
Yeah, that's one Harley rider.
I mean, that's a good. There's a good Goldwinger or two in that push that category.
Probably.
If you pick let's call it a typical American guy at 200 pounds, would be pretty nice for a gold. And his wife at 160. Now
you're being very generous.
Now I'm being politically correct. You don't think it's possible for me to be politically, but I can be. But no, we've done suspension for a 390-pound rider and his 250-pound wife.
Right.
Now the problem is there's no tire on earth designed for that.
Right.
See, people want there's no load rated tire for that.
Not other than not outside of a commercial aircraft.
So this the whole motorcycle really should be, even if they wanted to make it racier and sportier and edgier, it should hold 600 pounds. It should be able to hold by the way, you want it to hold in excess of what it will typically be used at. You don't take a half-ton truck and drive it around with a half a ton in the back of it every day of its life, or put 2 tons in the back every day. You don't do that, but they do that with the Goldwing. They do put, with no gear on at all, the husband and wife weigh more than the load rating of the motorcycle. They don't have a tool or a gear or an accessory,
pulling a trailer
or a cooler, they don't have any of that on it yet. I mean, so you're talking about doubling the weight of the motorcycle,
right?
You're not talking accessories. People put 200 pounds of chrome on the old bike. Luckily, chrome is dying, or at least for a short term. The joke has always been made that it's just designed for a Japanese man at 120 pounds and his 95-pound wife, and their two small helmets fit in the trunk. What are you complaining about, Mr. 6'3", 248-pound American guy? What are you complaining? I don't have any other explanation as to why 400 pounds would be considered a usable weight rating for the motorcycle. You could put a Honda luggage rack, lights, just put Honda line accessories on your motorcycles. You could put 100 pounds of Honda line accessories on your motorcycle. All of them legitimately approved and sold by Honda Motor Corporation to put on your motorcycle. Put the stereo amplifier in the saddlebag. This stuff weighs. Put a CB radio. All of this stuff is designed to be bolted to a Honda Goldwing by Honda. Sure. But now what are you down to? I got 25 pounds to go touring for a month. That's if you're Japanese. That's not if you're American.
Well, all this talk of obesity is making me hungry. It's almost dinner time here. old man like to eat early,
Yeah. You're going to miss your early bird special, old man.
My Luann platter. Listen, Max, I really appreciate it. I've learned a lot. I don't know what I've learned, but I go back and watch the video.
Before we wrap up, we got to talk about the new Cruiseman Request product.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. I contacted Max a few weeks ago, and as a part-time motovlogger, I struggle with mounting my camera. On a lot of motorcycles, you've got all kind of places on the frame you can mount cameras, but on a Goldwing, since it's all Tupperware, there's nowhere to mount anything. It's hard to get access to other than the handlebars. And the problem with the handlebars is you turn them, and then the cameras go in all different directions. So my idea was to get something to mount. I was thinking about under the rearview mirror, but Max actually came up with a better idea. He mocked up something and sent me a picture of it, and it looks like it's going to be pretty cool. The idea being that it's going to be mounted to the frame, but I think still within reach, where even the rider would be able to reach the camera to get access to it if you needed to. Of course, you can always get a remote control. I'm really excited about it, and I understand it's being anodized or something.
We actually it's a product. We're going to have a dozen of them. I'm going to guess it'll sell cool. Right away. But I just made a dozen to gauge it. You at Cruiseman had wanted the mount to be under the mirror, but not interfere with his Honda wings. And we both he said, I'm asking for something impossible here. And so I just said, hey, what if I design something that went above the mirror? And when I started looking at it, I found a neat place in a little pocket between the mirror and the windscreen, and where you can use just a camera mounted to it, and it'll be able to look back at the rider, but you'll be able to look out forward without any physical objects in the way of no mirrors, or you'll be looking out at clean space. But what's neat about the way I've got this thing set up is because he mentioned having outriggers and ramballs and things, is you'll be able to put an extension wand on it and look down at your front wheel, or look backwards at your knee, or go straight up in the air and look down on your head. So from this, because the mount it's going to be a CNC machine piece of billet aluminum. Imagine what I make here. Sure. And Cruiseman said, hey, it needs a 1/4-20 hole so that I can use all different kinds of things. So we're going to package it just so people don't have to go shopping with a 1-inch ram ball, an actual Ram branded ram ball. And then I found a little particular GoPro mount, the 2-prong GoPro mount. So those will be in the little kit, just so you don't have to shop for them. Okay. One reason I decided to supply them is you get a ram ball anywhere, but instead of paying freight from two places, I'm just going to put a ram ball, and they're like $13. Yeah. And then the little mount I found, I needed some extra threads, because what I did with it, this is a crude. This is an ugly, crude one when we were messing with it. But we've got a nice disc that we made that goes in between the mount to give it a flat surface. So when you screw your ram ball down, it's really securely, it has a big flat surface to torque to. Same thing for the GoPro mount. And then this mounts to the mirror stay. We're even going to supply, because we had to cut the little decorative Honda cover a little bit, that the one on your mirror. I'm just going to supply that because, again, that part is nothing. So that people don't, maybe not everybody has the nice Dremel tools and things to make it look pretty. We're just going to, you're just going to put it on. It's because that.
Does this go? Is this go on the left side or the right side or either one?
Left side. And the logic being, you got to have your hand on the throttle, and hopefully a brake. But your left hand is kind of free, as you mentioned. If you wanted to monkey with something, you could. It's almost hidden, and we'll have it blacked out. And so, honestly, it could be there. And if you don't have a camera on it and you're not using it, it's not really going to bother you, and it's not going to take away from the looks of the motorcycle.
Somebody could also use it for a dash cam.
You could. If you really want a great, because a lot of those cams, people, putting them behind the windscreen, motorcycle windscreens aren't glass. They don't really look good like a car windshield does. And the other thing they'll end up doing is trying to hang them poorly underneath the front where the fender will mash them.
Which is what I've done. I had to put it off to the right just because I was afraid the fender was going to come up,
going to
smack it.
Well, I haven't set a price to it. It's going to be a nice part. It might be $75 for that and the two mounts. It'll all just come in a little kit, but it's going to be proper. It's just the way, the kind of the things you would expect from me. It's going to be expensive and people will whine, but I'm pretty sure I can sell 12 of them pretty fast.
Okay. At least get that out of it.
Yeah, no, we'll see the reaction.
I think they're going to be popular. I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Well, I had never had that idea, so thanks for at least sending me down a path. And
sure.
And I guess you'll be reviewing one here in a week or so when I get it back.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so.
It was your idea.
Okay, well, let's end on that. That's a high note. I appreciate it. Once again, thanks for taking the time to be on the show. It's a long one, but that's good. It's good information. I think people are going to love it. Everybody check out Traxxion.com. Make sure you check out Max's YouTube channel if you want some good laughs and a lot of fun. He puts on a good show. So
I'm no professional. I'm no professional like you, Cruiseman.
No, I don't know about that. Well, thanks again for joining me today.
Thanks a lot for having me, Cruiseman.
Okay. Thanks again for tuning in to this episode of Garage Talk, a special 2-part series. Now, Garage Talk is available on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, CastBox, and of course, YouTube. You can help support the podcast by making sure you've subscribed to my YouTube channel. Just click that little subscribe button down below. Don't forget to click the notification bell. And if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure you hit that like button and give it a thumbs up. That really does help the channel. Thanks again for joining us today on Garage Talk. And remember what I always say, ride often, but ride safe.